Hey guys, how's it going? Value Venture Investing here today. So today we're going to be talking about Virgin Galactic, ticker SPCE. Now, I think this could be one of the biggest stories in terms of a hot stock for 2020. It could be, or it could not be. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video right now. I'm going to give you a quick idea of what Virgin's doing, who they are. I'm going to go a little bit into evaluation to tell you guys whether I think it's fairly valued in its price or not, and then I'll have a little bit of discussion at the end. So if you're not too sure what Virgin Galactic is, it's the first public space tourism company, actually, rather, and it was founded in 2004 by Richard Branson. Now, he's known as one of these audacious entrepreneurs. He's kind of like along the lines of Elon Musk, maybe even something like Steve Jobs or something like that. And this, it got awards and stuff like that at the time, but it didn't become, I don't think, that big of news until it went public here recently. Initially it went up quite a bit, fell back a bit, and now since December, we've seen the stock just been running here. So taking a look at the stock right now, you can see it's just under 15. I think it'll probably hit 15, and look at the run that it's had since December. Now, like I said, this is a space tourism company. So basically, to give you a quick and dirty what they do, they're going to take you up in these spacecrafts. They're very good-looking spacecrafts as well, actually, and they're basically hitting supersonic speeds as far as I'm aware, and then take you up and give you that lack of gravity feeling where you're actually technically in space, and then basically glide back down to where this space tourism center is that they're talking about. So this isn't really the first company that we've heard that's going to be doing this, but it's certainly the one that's the furthest ahead. So if you haven't already heard about some of the details with Virgin Galactic, it's $250,000 right now per person. So that sounds pretty big, but I mean, for what you get for it, it could be a lot more expensive. And at those levels, we're seeing 600 plus reservations that they have already. And right now, we don't really know going forward how many more they're going to be getting. They've indicated that, we've got a lot of demand month after month, but they've closed them off because they're basically focusing on a mid-2020 first commercial flight. However, before that happens, Richard Branson is going to go up first, of course. And he did say on one interview that he was going to have somebody special coming with him. I still don't know what that is. If you guys know anything about that, comment down below. And then after that, some of the big names or stars that have essentially been interested in going, like Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, I believe Tom Hanks too as well. So mid-2020, will we see it? I think this is why the stock's running up so much right now, why it's just such a hot stock right now. Because as soon as you see this happening, they're going to be moving their spacecraft down to New Mexico, and then they're going to be doing some test flights, and then they're going to be giving Richard Branson his flight there. And once we start getting information on that, it could really start running unless there's some bad news or whatever, right? So they have one spacecraft right now. They're working on a second, and I think another positive of the stock is that the second one is going along very well, quicker than the first. They keep talking about economies of scale, bringing the price down. So we'll see how that goes going forward. But I think it's definitely gonna be a pretty long-term story, but definitely exciting. And then they're saying by 2023 they hope to have 5 spacecrafts, and they're gonna be flying about 1,500 people per year. So you can kind of run the numbers on that. We will, and they're saying in kind of off the cuff, in 20 years, somewhere around there, they might have 20 to 30 spacecraft, so you could extrapolate to there. Now, this in itself, this is basically encompasses, 1 and 2, like levels 1 and 2 of what they're looking to do, and this itself could be quite valuable, right? But there's also a third phase that they're talking about here, where they're talking about point-to-point vehicles, and I think this is the point that's not getting a lot of attention right now. But this is something that could drive a lot of value to the company. And Boeing has seen opportunity in there, invested $20 million around the IPO time as well. So this is talking about vehicles that can go like Mach 5, maybe even like Mach 6. So making flights that would usually take somewhere around 11 hours, they could do it in like 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on, you know, on the flight or whatever. And that's huge. I mean, if they could capitalize on that, we saw in the past, you know, some of like the Concorde, I believe it was a jet, some of those really audacious plans fail. They were too costly, stuff like that. If somebody could capitalize on this, that would be huge. And so that's something that I'm not too sure is baked into the stock already. It could be, but we'll have to see on that. So I was looking at this. I actually bought in a little while ago, but with just a very small amount of money because I hadn't done much research and I just knew from momentum that it was going to run a bit. But all I was willing to do was throw like $3,000 at it because, you know, not much money at all in case it went the wrong way because I hadn't really looked at the valuation yet. So I made about $600 in like a day or two. I'm like, I'm out. That's a great position, like a good little gain for, you know, $3,000. But then I started giving a little bit more thought in terms of valuation. So whether or not I'm going to get in again, I'll let you guys know. But if you take a look at what they've said so far, so they're saying, I guess the best way to look at it is we could extrapolate out till 2023. If you look at their slideshow on their website, they go a little further and they're kind of in line with the numbers of what I'm talking about here. But they're saying about 1,500 people a year with 5 spacecraft, right? So that would generate about $375 million for that year, right? So these numbers are very, very rough. Of course, it could be a lot more, it could be a lot less. They compared themselves to Apple, saying that they're a high margin business. I won't go into that, but you can look on their website for that as well. And, you know, they do have the potential to be a very high margin business. So Apple pulls, you know, from its top line to around 20% down to its bottom line. They might do better, they might do worse. Again, this is very rough, but say we do 20% margin down to the bottom line, we're going to have numbers here. So at a multiple of 20 times, how likely is it to trade at 20 times? I think it's going to trade a lot more. We see companies like Amazon do anywhere from 50 to 80 times earnings. It's all to do with stocks' future expectations. If you don't know that, it's not what's happening now. It's not what's happening in the past. Everything is forward looking. So at 20 times earnings, that's approximately $7.6 per share. So that's actually what it fell back to a while ago. So some of these are kind of in line. At 30 times, we're looking at $11, roughly somewhere around there. So we're getting closer. I think we're almost 15 right now. But if it's trading at 50 times earnings, we're looking at about 19. So above what we're at right now, 19.20. I believe that there's a price target around $22. So in the short term, I think it's very possible for it to hit 19.20, maybe hit 30 this year, and it could really run. So myself, what am I going to do? I like that, you know, that profit I locked in. And like I said, I don't know, this is very, you know, I'm not even looking through the financial statements with you guys because it's so early on, right? I like to look at something from 20 to 30 times earnings. I like it to be reasonable. So anywhere from $7 to 11, we're trading at 15. So my margin of safety is kind of like, I don't know. So if it falls back a bit, I think I will get in again because when it comes down to it, I think this is all about the story. Like it's like the hot stocks. It's what's been happening with Tesla lately. People, you know, allow these companies, or allow them, you know, are buying into these companies because they're stories. They're the people. Like Elon Musk, people believe in him. People believe in Richard Branson. So, you know, looking too closely at the metrics, you know, the exact numbers, especially when it's an early stage, is really hard to do. And people generally, you know, don't really seem to care that much about it. So in my mind, this could be one of the biggest stocks of 2020. Could be. It all depends on what happens. But we've seen this thing run already. And I think it might not be done. And I think it's going to be an extremely interesting one to watch because it's just very interesting. It captivates people. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but it fascinates me. I think it's a very, very interesting concept. We get excited about it. And when you get that exuberance in stocks, what can happen, right? But be careful as well, right? So I'd like to know what you guys think about this. Are you excited about this? Do you think this is just kind of like a rip-off? It's never going to happen. I mean, 2020, we're not going to even see it this year. Very curious what you guys think, if you're investing in it, or what your thoughts are on, you know, potentially what they make in the future. Leave a comment down below. As always, like it, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Really helps out the channel. And that's going to be it for today, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.